back, guys. Welcome to whatever day of the week that this is coming out on. Today, I'm super freaking excited, A, because we're kind of going full beat. We're just really going for it. It's going to be kind of a classic YouTube mome this whole week. But also, today we're going to be playing with Lawless, the One palette, which really doesn't have a lot of impact on camera, does it? It's like black. It's got an embossed, there we go. Yeah, so it is actually really pretty in person. It's a very pretty palette in general. I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes. We spent the second half of last year mostly testing eyeshadow palettes because it was all any of the companies were coming out with. Since I've moved to clean beauty and kind of a little bit more minimal of a makeup, an approach to buying makeup, I don't really know if that's true. That might just be a huge lie. I'm not really sure, but I did kind of swear off buying eyeshadow palettes for a little while until I saw this. And it was sold out on Sephora for a really long time, and it's actually a Sephora exclusive. So I had them email me when it came back into stock because these are some of the colors that I like the most on my complexion. I talked about in my favorites, actually it was a finds and finds video on Friday, about how these are a lot of similar colors, and I'm being very careful with this not to like tip it up because it's such a soft palette that I'm afraid that things are just gonna like fall out. You know, these all remind me very much, this is like, you know, Voodoo, Lotus, is it called Aya? No, I might have to pull out my my Natasha Denona palette and show you guys. But from the Safari palette, and then, you know, we've got, honestly, some of the most gorgeous foiled shades I've ever seen, and they didn't screw it up, okay? They didn't do that thing where it looks really gorgeous in the pan, and then you pick it up and there's no opacity to it. It's just that weird, sharp flake glitter that they've been putting in all these palettes lately that drives me crazy. These are all really, really beautiful. However, since I have had the chance to play with this a little bit, I do suggest using a primer, and I do suggest using a glitter glue to really get the full punch of these colors. We're gonna go ahead and do an eye look here, and it's gonna be kind of Valentine's-y just because today's Valentine's Day. I just decided that this is coming out on Valentine's Day, so let's do it. This is a new filming setup where I'm using a lens that doesn't have autofocus, and so I'm going to just try and stay stationary. Hopefully it's crisp enough that when I move the actual frame in post, you guys can still see more detail than you could before. So voila! We're gonna put my makeup on now. Let's go ahead and start with a primer. This is the Luscious Cosmetics Angel Eyes Eyeshadow Primer Base, and this is what I always use when I do a really crisp eye look, something where I want to get the pigment punch out of it. Sometimes I just put on like a wash of color if I'm just going out during the day or something. But if I'm really gonna put the work in, I wanna make sure the foundation's right, you know? So this is my first, well, the Airy Perez was technically my first clean beauty eyeshadow palette purchase, but that thing was just such a dud. So this is $64. I think I said that it was 70. I thought that it was 70. 64 is still not chump change, but you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 3 is 18 shades in here. And what does that come out to? Wow, that's $3.55 a shadow, which is not crazy. All right, so I'm going to start by setting the primer, and I'm going to start with First Base. Guys, the names of these shades are so good. I love them. So it's like First Base, which is, you know, a really good base shade. Casual is Soup's Casual. Fling, Butterflies, get it? It's butter colored. Complicated, I don't really know about that one, but I like it. Play Cool, it's a cool tone brown. I get it, Lawless, I love your puns. Crushing Everything, because literally you can use this kind of peachy shade for everything. It's like an ultimate blender. Next Level, which is like, you know, it's everything, but they took it to the next level. Feels, I don't really know, but I like the name. Obsessed, because low-key, I'm obsessed with this shade. Steady, Cutie, Baby, Infatuation, Shady, get it? DTR? I don't know what that means. I'm gonna have to Google that because I'm not a young millennial, you know what I mean? I don't know all the lingo. What does DTR mean? I'm not sure. And Plunge. I do love all of the shadow names. Their effort in making them punny is not wasted on your girl. So I'm just taking a little Sigma brush here and putting down a very light coat of First Base. I've already done my brows. I've already done all my makeup except for a lip. I wanted to wait till I was done with my eyeballs to choose something to put on my lip balls. Last week we coined the term arm balls for my armpits. And everything kind of goes with the word balls, so sorry if that's not safe for work. Let's start with Everything as my peachy transition shade. I feel like that's kind of on theme with the name. These are very soft, but I don't feel like they do the blend forever and ever and ever thing the way that like Melt Cosmetics does. They're pretty on par with the formula of an Anastasia palette, but with better ingredients. So, you know, do with that what you will. I have kind of fallen out of practice with doing eyeshadow, and so I feel like the distance and the time has only made my heart grow fonder, and I have a lot more patience than I once did, kind of drawing very hair-splitting lines between the formulas on eyeshadows. Like, you know, extreme one end of the spectrum is gonna always be Natasha Denona because it's the most pigmented and the most sticky. But this, while it's soft, as long as I use, like I said, you kind of go the extra mile and make sure that you put something down that it can stick to, it's not as frustrating. So that is, you know, very, very pretty. I'm gonna go in with Baby. We're gonna kind of focus on some of these pinks down here because, like I said, I want this to be kind of Valentine's-y. And I'm just gonna put that up here, give us a little pink vibe that goes along with that peach. Ooh, oh. And I'm just doing this in this awkward area, the local color area, the somewhere between the crease and the brow bone area. And it's a pale enough shade that I don't have to be crazy precise with it, but it's got enough punch that I'm not annoyed with it, like, oh wow, where is it? I kind of wish that I was inspired enough to do like a Project Pan. I don't know, I don't find those videos very interesting. I think is why I don't want to do that, is because it's not something that I like watching. But if you guys are like really interested in that, this might be one of the only, unless somebody else comes out with some like really epic clean beauty eyeshadow palette, I don't really see myself buying another eyeshadow palette anytime soon. And so, you know, if we wanted to do a Project Pan, this would be the one to do it with. Plus, I mean, the possibilities are fairly limitless here. I'm gonna go and define my crease with my defined crease brush from Makeup Geek that I love so very much. And I'm gonna do that with the shade, what? Infatuation right here. I'm gonna actually pull out the Safari palette here in a second and swatch those next to each other, because if you like the Safari palette but you haven't been able to shell out, you know, $129 on a friggin' eyeshadow palette, maybe $64 is more palatable to you. Oh my god, did I really just do that? Is it more palatable? I can't believe in 5 years on YouTube I've never done that. I've never used that pun, just stumbled right into that one. So I was watching some Vogue kind of celebrity makeup routines yesterday because I was, again, home, sick, in bed, just kind of falling asleep. And there's even one with Troye Sivan, which he's like the most adorable human being in the world. There was one with, oh my god, I'm not gonna remember her name. She's one of the Victoria's Secret models. It kind of doesn't matter, but she was using a MAC, like plummy colored eyeshadow like this as her contour. She used this plummy color as her like deep, cool contour all over her whole face and on her eyes and everything. And then she applied a lipstick that was very similar to that color. And what that did was it made it look like she had color correction on her face. Like she was just in extremely flattering lighting for her skin tone the entire time. And I was like, that's kind of brilliant. You sort of discover the coolest stuff in makeup out of laziness, out of being like, I don't really feel like packing another palette, or I really don't feel like digging through my makeup and trying to find the perfect color. I'm just gonna kind of like make it work for today, and then you're like, no, that was dynamite and I'm doing that forever kind of thing. It's interesting. That's why we play the game. So yeah, huge difference were I not to use a primer. I have played with this kind of when I first got it. I just, you know, walked upstairs with it and I started using it without a primer because I had just like gotten out of the shower or something. I was like, oh, I want to play with it. Oh my god, you guys, it just moves around like a mandala. You know what I mean? Like it's just sand in the wind if you don't have a primer down. So definitely keep that in mind with this palette. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful when you have the right primer underneath it. All right, I'm gonna take that same brush and I'm gonna move into Shady right here. So that's gonna be an even deeper kind of just at the corner, we're gonna build kind of a false crease. And not a cut crease necessarily, just kind of a false crease right here that makes it look like my eyelid goes up a little higher than it does, because my eyes are really small. I realize my eyes are small, but there's actually a lot more real estate right here for me than there are for a lot of people. Like, I've been watching a lot of Tati lately. I'm always watching a lot of Tati. I love Tati. She has these gorgeous giant eyelids, you know what I mean? She can just play and play and play on those eyelids, but she doesn't actually have that much real estate between her eye and her eyebrow as a result. And I find that, you know, where some of us have perceived disadvantages, they can also be, you know, advantageous in other ways. I'm even gonna go into the black, which is called plunge, towards the end here. But I am just, this is a pleasure. Like, the fact that I can do this while talking and it's not getting everywhere, and we're dealing with berry tones, I mean, not red berry tones, but, you know, cool tone berry tones, which have gotten me in trouble in the past. I just am very pleased with how this is going. Okay, I'm gonna go back in with everything right here, and I'm gonna go on the lid with that on a flat brush that's hopefully clean-ish. Just gonna kind of put down a little coat here to work on top of. It's kind of neutral when it's in the palette, but when you put it up next to the cool tone kind of purples, it really, really pulls peach. You know, do I own these shades already? Could I probably have done a Will It Dupe with this? Yeah, absolutely. This is not, you know, these are not new shades, but I think that it was more so like, hey, we're testing clean beauty now. I want you guys to be informed as to whether you can trust a really high-end, high-priced palette from a brand like this, like whether the formulations are still gonna perform. And I feel like we've just come such a long way with clean beauty because, and I was actually quoted in an article last week about this, just, you know, in general, we're dealing with a system right now, and I mean, it's always been the case, but we get what we want because we are the paying customer. Become so influential, you, me, you know, basically all the consumers of makeup, we become really influential as far as ethics and stuff are concerned because it's, you know, we're voting with our dollar. And so if we say, I'm going to actually, you know, pay money for clean beauty, people are like, well, we're gonna put the money in to make sure that we research this and make sure that these things actually perform. They're not kind of performing like, you know, you made them in your kitchen, which is my experience, like I've said in the past, with a lot of clean beauty products in the past. I was always just like, okay, I can tell that this is clean beauty because it really just doesn't feel great on the sum of its parts. And now, we are really coming upon a new era in it. So that is gorgeous. I'm gonna take this e.l.f. brush right here that has this phenomenal big fat like stubby end on it. I'm gonna go in with First Base, that same one that we used to set the primer, and just use that to highlight my brow bone. This is like, you know, just painting with watercolors is how it feels. Oh, definitely got some blending issues here. Interesting. It's almost so sticky it doesn't want to like blend out those weird little creases. Anyway, I got it to work. So we've only been working in matte so far. Now I want to move into the glitters, but I wanted to hold off on that until we had the rest of it on because I'm going to use a glitter glue to make it stick. So first thing, I'm going to take my little pinky right here into Casual. Casual is this unreal, I mean, the softness of this shade is crazy, and it's like this perfect level of satin shimmer. It's not glittery, but I mean, soft doesn't even begin. I mean, you touch it and it's just like this velvety, gorgeous texture, which is yet again another reason that you want to make sure that there's a primer, if I haven't said that 18 times already. So I'm just gonna kind of use that right here, sort of in the middle where we catch the light. It almost feels like a cream shadow. And then I'll use my big fluffy guy with really kind of nothing on it and blend that into the other stuff. So I have the Too Faced glitter glue. It's just the only one that I've ever gotten for free. I mean, I just basically, it came, you know, for free when I ordered something, and I've never, you know, had the need to buy glitter glue in the past, and so this is just the one that I have. I'm just gonna use a tiny bit here. Gonna put it on my fingers. and put it right on the center of my lid and up a little bit into the crease. I'm even gonna put a little bit down here because I want the glitter to go kind of all the way, as if it's going through my eyeballs. All right, now I just take my finger and I'm going into Cutie right here because it is like the thing that dreams are made of. It is so, so beautiful. Oh my God. I mean, can you say foil? I mean, it just like instantly foils on a lid. It's so beautiful. Oh my Lord. And honestly, the hardest part about this palette is exercising restraint because there are other shimmer shades in here. You know, Obsessed is if you kind of go for a copper look. It lends itself the exact same way, but you know, when I first started trying this palette, I just kind of started layering both on and I was like, I'm getting completely carried away and I just kind of looked like I've been playing in glitter. God, is that unbelievable. We've got a little bit of fallout. It's because these, I think that's just the compromise that you have when something is this kind of velvety. Using the kind of tip of my finger to bring that up a little bit so that it blends into the crease. I do that so that you can kind of see it when my eye is open. And then I just want to take my little flat brush from earlier and go in with that same shade underneath where I just put that glitter glue. It's so pretty! Oh my goodness. I'm tempted to go with kind of a bright shade in my inner corner here. What do we have? We have Crushing. Crushing is this bright freaking gold, but this does lean a little bit cool toned, doesn't it? So then we also have Casual, which is really pretty, but it's really, really bright. Huh. Or we could go like yellow on the inner corner. I'm not really there. I'm not really there for that today. And then also we have this shade Fling, which is like too yellow. So actually I'm gonna go with Crushing because it's sort of just neutral enough. It's not as gold as Fling, but it's not as like white as Casual. Okay, crash. Pretentious water. Huh. I'm not sure that was the ticket. Ooh, actually, that's super pretty. And this is a little Makeup Geek pencil brush for those playing along at home. I think I will add a little bit of Casual in just because this doesn't have the like bright pearlescent punch that I wanted. It's actually got a lot of shimmer, which I really like the texture's working for me, but I was afraid to go too bright, and I think that we can go brighter. So let's throw Casual in there. Yes, look at that. Whew. It's a very surreal kind of look, you know, when you really over brighten that inner corner, but like, pow. You know, it kind of makes you look like you're going to like Carnival or something. I'm going to take my little crease brush again. I'm going to go into Baby here, that pink color, and yes, perfect. It has a lot more pigmentation to it than you think it's going to. And then I will also take a little bit of First Base, the white color, and blend. Use it just kind of as a blending medium to make sure all this stuff kind of comes to the same level underneath my eye. And I did say that we were going to go in with the black, didn't I? So yeah, I'm going to touch very, very gently into Plunge here. And we're going to just touch that right on the outer corner. And that really blendable formula comes in very handy in this moment because you wouldn't want to apply a lot more of that black in order to get it to spread out, which if this was a Natasha Denona palette, you'd be applying more. You'd be like stamping more black on to get it to spread around. It just kind of won't do that after a certain point. Whereas with this, I can really shear it out and get that effect from it with like a teeny tiny amount of product, which is really what I wanted. Gonna take Shady again here, kind of that burgundy, and just really blow out the edges on the black. And I'm doing that thing where I just kind of like, you know, dip into the crease and then push a little bit with my brush. And it gives that like diffused edge. A year ago, you guys, I would have gotten halfway into this eye look and freaked out. I would have been like, oh my God, I am in a hole that I cannot get out of. What was I thinking? You know, and like panicked. Going in with Baby here and just on my little, what is this thing? This is the RT203 from Real Techniques. Nicely blended up here, but not too blended. We still want to see the definition of the shade and light, you know? I want to take a little bit and fix that. There we go. This is Infatuation. I'm just kind of throwing that on the outer corner here. I'm gonna dip my finger back into Cutie and make sure that we kind of get all that glitter punch that we can. Little bit goes such a long way, but it also dusts off really easily, so you just want to be careful. Okay, so we have quite a bit of fallout here. That's okay. All right, I'm gonna throw on the rest of my makeup, choose a lip, do my eyelashes and everything like that. And by eyelashes, I mean I'm just going to put on mascara. And we will come back and kind of talk about the ingredients and the claims and stuff on this eyeshadow palette, and I will give you guys my final thoughts. Voila! Look, guys, it's all pretty. I haven't done a full beat in a really long time, and I am really into this. So this is like, I'm calling my Valentine's Day look, because we went full like pinks and purples and mauves. Really into mauve right now, just in general. I feel like it's an incredibly universally flattering color, kind of an in-between dusty, rosy, pink purple. I feel like everybody can wear some persuasion of that color, and so that's sort of what I went with here. And so you guys saw the eye look. I'm wearing Glossier Generation G in Like on my lips, which is like a cool toned pink, and then I threw some of the Fenty Gloss Bomb, the Diamond Bomb, on top of it, because I wanted it to be kind of like candy sparkly, you know? And yeah, I've just got regular like mascara, no eyeliner or anything on. Got the Thrive Brow Mousse on, the brow, what do they call it? Brow gel on right now, and that's because the Glossier doesn't give me that just like color punch that I want, and the Thrive really gives you this color punch that can stand up to this much eye makeup. So that is where we're at there. Let's talk claims here, and then I will zoom in and kind of show you guys what this looks like really, really close up. Like I said, she's $64, exclusive to Sephora, clean at Sephora, online only, and it comes actually in like a cardboard. Like, this is not plastic, which I do appreciate. It's still sturdy enough, but it definitely is paper, you know? I would not recommend necessarily traveling with this. It comes very packed, not like in a wasteful way, but very tight in a piece of cardboard. And even just pulling it out of that piece of cardboard that it comes packed in caused some of my shadows to kind of crack and rupture. So like, super careful with this. What it is, a go-to palette for any occasion with 18 gorgeous shades in a variety of finishes ranging from staple neutrals to bold pops of color. This product is cruelty-free. It's one of the big hang-ups that I've noticed recently, guys. There are clean beauty products that aren't cruelty-free. Like, how unfair is that? I thought of it always as like a tiered system, but no, like Origins, Boscia, my mistake, are clean in their ingredients, but they're not cruelty-free. That doesn't fly. So it says, what else you need to know? My idea for this palette was simple. This is Annie Lawless, brand founder and CEO. I did not know that her last name was Lawless. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I wanted to create the perfect palette, the one palette that has everything you need in one place, a palette that can create all of my favorite essential eye looks and nothing extra or lacking. So nothing more, nothing less. I'm gonna go ahead and say, girl, that you nailed it, because the actual shade range in this palette really makes me feel like I don't need another palette. It has all of the cool toned browns that I demand. I always say that. This is actually a review for some of you guys, but it's gonna be new if you're new. When I was doing my like long parade of eyeshadow palette reviews, I was always ticked off when I got a palette of this size and it didn't have a white, like a matte kind of warm toned or neutral white. I don't want a cool toned white. And that was to kind of back you out of trouble, right? When you have this many colors in here, you can get in too deep. Like I said, a year ago, I would have panicked halfway through what I did today. And to have a black, because when you have a palette of this size, you want it to be something that has everything in it. You don't want to have to then carry a basics palette around because this is a companion palette. That's my personal take on this kind of thing. If you are an eye palette collector, that's different, but if you're the kind of person who is actually hunting for the one eyeshadow palette that you need in your collection, it better have a white and it better have a black. That, and if I don't have a cool toned brown to, on the very basic level, add shadow, because you need cool tone for something to kind of look like it's going away from the eye. Why does my eye look so crazy in the camera right now? I don't know. Does it look really weird? It doesn't look weird in person, but it looks like something bizarre is happening right there. I promise that's not like happening in real life. It looks like I have like crazy fallout. Anyway, yeah, we've got a lot of cool tones that are really, really perfect for, like I said, creating that shadow that you would need even on like the chillest eyeshadow look. So it's not like super, super deep, but you do have a couple of those. And this complicated shade, this is actually very much like, yes, okay, so let's compare notes here. This is Dilshani. This is actually like one of my favorite colors in any Thrive palette because it's this in-between kind of khaki color. And it translates on the skin in this really beautiful kind of golden way. And then this, oh my gosh, is complicated from this palette, the Lawless palette, and they're super duper similar. Like if I could take one out of my Thrive collection and put it in my own custom palette, it would be Dilshani. Well, and also the gold in the other palette. I forget what that one's called, maybe Gloria. This is so stinking close to it that I'm satisfied. You know, that is, to me, it's completely personal, but that is a super, super useful shade. Let's pull out the Safari palette real quick. This is what I'm talking about. This is the word I was trying to remember, Masai. So Masai, ooh, it's so soft, versus Infatuation. So they're not as close as I had them pegged. This is Masai and this is Infatuation, but look at those two. You can see those two purples are super duper similar. Lotus in the Safari palette and Baby in the Lawless palette. They're not perfect. That's not like a perfect match, but they're very, very similar. Oh wow, Tamarind is also really similar. So that's Tamarind out of the Safari palette. So we've got Tamarind, we've got Dilshani, and then we have Complicated. So all three of those shades are ones that I absolutely love using, and so the fact that this one has that shade in there is really, really great. Something that I don't have anywhere else is really this shade right here, the glitter that we used on my eyes. Very reminiscent of, I would say, the hole that I found in my collection when I tried to dupe the Huda New Nudes palette, because it has so many of those gorgeous pink glitters in it, and I didn't have anything that was just like a really rich, really crazy foiled pink glitter, and this really does the stinking trick. So yeah, I find all of these to be incredibly useful in my collection. I think that this was an epically good purchase for me. I think that I could have probably foregone, had I known that this existed or had it existed at the time, I probably could have foregone buying some of these Natasha Denona palettes because I don't think that I'm going to use all the golds in the gold palette, and I really love those shades that are in the Safari palette. I really love the Safari palette, but the mattes in here are just as good and the shade range is just as good. So like I said, if you've kind of been eyeing some of those Natasha Denona palettes and you're also kind of on the fence about ingredients, definitely consider the Lawless palette, guys. Every single one of these shades has a purpose. So I think she did an amazing job here. Let me show you guys up close. Look at that foil, guys. It's so beautiful. So easy to blend. You saw I didn't have any frustration, and I'm not that good. If you're new here, I'm not that good at putting on makeup, like putting on eyeshadow. I'm pretty good. I've really improved recently. Let me turn this light away here. I still can get stumped or get my butt kicked by a palette if the formulas are really unexpected. That's also why I didn't want to do a first impression. This is just so beautiful. It actually reminds me a lot of when I tried to dupe the Huda New Nudes palette. And so if you looked at that and you were like, Khaki, I love that look. I would love a palette that you didn't Frankenstein together, but I don't want to buy the Huda palette because she's not exactly the most ethical producer of things. Like she makes like mink lashes and stuff, like not a big fan. If you have been eyeing those palettes, guys, this is an amazing all-in-one palette that really gets the job done. I think that, like I said, this will be the only palette that I buy this year, and it's only February. So I know that's kind of a big thing to say. It's like only February, and to say like, I'm not gonna buy another palette. It's gonna take a lot. Something would have to really be special. I keep looking at myself in the mirror because I'm so obsessed with this like foily glitter. Something would have to be really mind-blowing to justify me buying it right now, because I cannot think of a shade that I need in my collection that isn't in this palette. Those are my thoughts on the Lawless The One palette. If you guys have any questions about it, let me know down below. I will be happy to answer it. Happy to do another look with the orange ones if you guys want. We can do like a get ready with me or something like that, so let me know. But guys, this is like a 10 out of 10. Like I'm so glad that I came out of pocket, spent the $64, got this palette, because I really feel like I can like almost declutter most of my collection and just keep this palette. So thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy this, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you guys did. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!